Daniel is a fucking asshole the entire season.
Welcome to Movie Pain or Pleasure Podcast, the show that strikes first and shows no mercy. And has a nice big fat glass of rosé to go along with it. That's what I'm doing. I'm your co-host Melanie, and once again, for our second Cobra Kai video, I'm wearing my nice Strike First Cobra Kai sweatshirt that AJ got me for Christmas last year.
Yes.
Yes, you got it for me for Christmas. Now, the difference is when we did our other Cobra Kai video, it was January, and right now it's September, and it's about 90 degrees outside, so I have the air conditioner blasting, so if you hear a little bit of a fan, that's why.
Yeah, okay. No one knows.
So, what are we here to talk about?
Cobra Kai, Cobra Kai.
Cobra Kai. Cobra Kai never
Season
dies.
5.
Season 5. So we just binged in 2 days all 10 episodes of Season 5 of Cobra Kai on Netflix. And overall, well, you thought we were going to do a short spoiler-free review for 3 minutes, and then we will get into details, and there will be spoilers after that. All right, let's get started.
5 minutes, no spoilers. Go.
Overall, my notes say this is the most anime-esque season, and it's a lot of old people fighting.
It is a lot of old people fighting. There was no kid fights until,
Until the very end.
Yeah.
So a lot of the season focuses on some over-the-top things, but we see more of the drama going on with Terry Silver. We see sort of the storyline from season 4 of Miguel going to seek out his dad, which that kind of fizzled out. It went out with a whimper rather than a bang.
Which is kind of how they do a few things.
That's how they do a few things. We thought they rushed the physical therapy of Miguel in season 3, and then they rushed the whole thing with his father in season 5. But honestly, I think they were just kind of tired of it. So let's talk about other things.
Sometimes it's like emotionally driven things are kind of like...
Yeah. So Johnny and Carmen's relationship continues, which I thought that was really refreshing. Like, there's no drama. But the drama between Daniel and Terry Silver grows, and Terry Silver is a really delightful character. Thomas Ian Griffith is
the second
wonderful.
best part of the whole show now.
What's the first best part?
Chosen. Chosen is the shit.
Yeah, let's talk about Chosen.
Chosen's
So
fun.
I can't remember the actor's name, unfortunately, but he was in Karate Kid 2 as the villain bully who picked on Daniel and
tried to kill him.
Tried to kill him, and there's a very funny line that Johnny has about that, but no spoilers, so we won't say. But Chosen is there through the whole season, so he was the big reveal at the end of season 4, which had us screaming, Chosen!
Oh my god.
At the end. And so a couple of times we screamed, and a lot of it was because it was Chosen, but also all the references to Taekwondo.
Oh, yeah,
We'll go into more detail about this in our spoiler review, but...
Which we'll leave at the end for all people who don't give a fuck about, martial arts stuff.
Yeah, we're trained martial artists, so we're gonna get real nerdy about it, but there was a resolution at the end, and it was okay. It was a little bit... For all the buildup and all the drama and all the peril, it was a little bit lackluster. The big bully got his comeuppance. The end.
I don't know if it's like that exactly. It was just kind of quick, and it doesn't really leave you thinking, "Oh, here's where next season's gonna go." It could technically just be over.
No, yeah, this really felt like it could be a series finale, which I don't think it's going to be.
I hope not, because if it was, it could have been done better.
Well,
in fact, this is just me. I would have preferred if they just added a couple episodes and made this the final season. I think it would have been better.
Yeah, because it was a slow build for the first 5 episodes and had a lot of silly stuff, and then episode 5, shit hits the fan, shit gets serious, and it's chaos after that.
That's their formula. If you go back, every season seems to be pretty silly. This one was especially so.
Because it's an anime.
And then things get serious towards the end. This is a cartoon. The new villain, I hate her. I absolutely hate her.
I really didn't like her. They brought in a woman from Korea, supposedly.
The entire show has just been edging towards unbelievable. You're okay, I'll accept this for the most part, whatever. But this season, it's she is unbelievable. Like, there's no way to believe that this isn't a normal world anymore.
Yeah, and I kept having to battle with myself because Terry Silver, I almost said Tony Silver like he's Tony Montana, which maybe he kind of is. But that would be Miguel's dad.
High on revenge and coke.
Yes, in the last season he said he was high on revenge and coke, which I thought was awesome. So, but Terry Silver's trying to take over the world with karate, and then I sit back and think, it's karate schools. How big can you get with that? And this guy's a billionaire. He has he has a huge company, so maybe he's just bored. And this is his hobby. But the female villain is saying, oh, my father's secrets will be revealed. And I'm like, you mean Tang Sudo? Because that's what it is.
It's just, or Taekwondo.
Or Taekwondo. We saw a form that we
Choreo is in this.
Choreo. So if you know
form.
Taekwondo, I did that form at my lesson that day that we watched it. So yeah, it's a lot of. We'll get into it when we get into the more of the spoiler review of the technique behind it and the Korean roots and some thoughts about that. And
your 5 minutes are officially over.
That is the end of the spoiler-free review. So let's get into details.
Best things about the show, just to cap it, Chosen is hilarious all the time.
All the time.
Great, and he's not just like silly, like he's actually really funny.
Oh yeah, he has this badass line where they're talking shit to Terry Silver, and Terry Silver's like, well, Daniel, you can't fight fire with fire, and Chosen goes, I am gasoline. Boom. Oh, yes.
Chosen's the shit.
He is badass.
Okay.
And he's this little middle-aged Japanese man.
Negatives, it's a anime or a cartoon. Like, there's some things that are just, they're too ridiculous, but you still kind of accept it because the show's fun. And I think this sits right dead in the middle of, as far as best seasons. I think 2, 4, 5... 1 and 3 are kind of toss up. So that's that's the end of the spoiler stuff or non-spoiler stuff, and now we can get into the everything.
Yeah, so it's basically the Chosen show. It starts out with a close-up of a very shitty trophy. And there are a lot of voiceovers in this. We get voiceovers from Terry Silver, from Daniel, from even Amanda LaRusso throughout the episode.
And sometimes I don't really get who they're voice-overing to. Like, I don't... Like, one point I thought that was literally going to be a commercial, but then I was thinking, like, if this is a commercial that Daniel is creating as he's doing this voiceover, there would need to be someone sneaking into Cobra Kai for B-roll, because there was that stuff with Terry Silver walking around.
Yeah.
And then it's just part of the episode. It's really weird.
Yeah, they haven't done this on past seasons. So the storyline that was kind of a throwaway was Miguel going to find his dad in Mexico, and that was really wrapped up in about 2 episodes. So at the beginning, Terry Silver's taking over with an awesome Cobra Kai dojo. Miyagi-Do is closed. Johnny is in a very happy relationship with Miguel's mom, and he has gone off to Mexico to find Miguel, and he's brought Robbie along. So that's kind of one of the standard things is Johnny's relationships are all pretty good.
Yeah.
Throughout this, which hasn't happened at all in the series.
Some of the relationships in general were like the good part of the show, I think.
It was because
finally getting past certain things.
There was one season, I don't know if it was, I think it was 3, where Daniel and Johnny would be friends, and then they would fight each other, and then they would be friends, and then they would. It was just annoying after a while. And I get it, they're rivals, but come on, guys.
Like, either deal with it or don't.
And that is something that Johnny does. He has Miguel and Robbie fight it out in one episode, and then they become friendly.
Like dudes.
Yeah, like dudes just punch each other in the balls, and then they're best friends.
Yeah, you know.
So the thing with Miguel is that he goes to Mexico, and he does get robbed by a tourist, and we didn't realize until the 2nd episode.
Kano.
It was Kano from Mortal Kombat. Don't remember
awesome.
the guy's name, but we both said at the same time, it's Kano! He had long hair, Australian accent.
He had the same thick Australian accent that other Australians do. He's faking his accent, or whatever. I think it's funny that people from other countries are calling out their countrymen for being, like, over the top and fake.
Well, I hate when there
Him,
are...
Jim Jeffries, that other guy, Aussie Man.
Aussie Man.
But I know what you're gonna say, but whenever we get annoyed by it, they're not even Texans.
Yes, we get
These
annoyed
are actual
when...
Australians.
That's true.
So
I get annoyed when people play Texans in movies and they have really thick accents
that's
like
be like
this.
us being mad at Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah, well, he because he sounds good. We don't have a reason to be mad at him. So, anyway, they go to Mexico, and very quickly, Miguel makes friends with this guy who ends up basically being a Tony Montana level drug dealer, and his
Like,
mom had warned him.
Maybe he's out of the game, but he definitely has.
Oh, he still
a
had
past.
some things going on. Well, when Johnny and Miguel show up, not Johnny and Miguel, when Johnny and Robbie show up in FBI t-shirts that say female body inspector
Because,
on
of
the
course.
back, he freaks out because he thinks it's the feds.
Well, that could still be like part of his past, though. I mean, that doesn't necessarily have to be like fresh.
Yeah,
news.
but it was like some Chekhov's guns were planted, literally, that they never used. So we find Miguel in this little shop with his dad, who he never tells that he's his dad, because I think he's scared of him, and he's got a
Like-
gun, and he goes off to eat chicharrones by himself.
I think it would have been more interesting if he just said it.
Yeah.
And in fact, number one problem with this show and a lot of shows about a lot of people with drama in it at all is they don't just say shit to each other. They just and they pout and walk off. Like, if you just said anything, y'all could just figure it out in like 10 minutes. But we got to keep it going, so don't fucking talk to each other and then deal with it.
Yeah, so...
Like, I wish the writers felt confident enough to just do it and then continue the story and not be like, well, we gotta have this for later.
Gotta have dangle the little carrot. So
Yeah.
that happened with a couple of things where people just can't use words. So Johnny and Robbie show up and they take Miguel, and meanwhile his drug dealer dad's just hanging out in the shop eating chicharrones.
And
he never...
there was a great...
I thought, okay, he could come out and he could kidnap Miguel, or he could hold him at gunpoint or something, but I think the writers just thought, we really don't want to deal with this storyline
like,
anymore.
what if he did do the kidnap Miguel thing, or hold him as hostage, and then Miguel has a reason to explain to him, no, they're my friends, and I'm your son, and don't kill me.
Yeah.
And then, like, have the rest of that convoluted thing, like, wrapped up. Not just, well, I found out he was a bad guy, so, okay. Like, yeah, I don't know. From the few people I've met who've lived that life where they didn't really know that person, but they want to meet them for good or bad reasons, I don't think it would be wrapped up so easily. Like, just like, yeah, I met him and he was a douche, so
Yeah.
coming home.
So that storyline is wrapped up. Meanwhile, Chosen has been living with Daniel, to his wife's chagrin, and he's gonna get Terry Silver, and they have some run-ins throughout the series, and they do bring back some familiar faces. So in one episode, Daniel talks about Mike fucking Barnes. I have to cough.
It doesn't go where you think it's going to, and that's awesome.
Yeah, why don't you talk about
This was actually...
Mike's appearance?
I really enjoyed that he wasn't... Like, waiting for the season, I was thinking, okay, we're gonna have Mike Barnes back. He's like the last villain. Let's go. But I actually enjoy that he's not a villain. He's not even a bad guy. He's not even mean. He's just like, I used to be an asshole, and that sucks. And my father-in-law was really cool and taught me how to build furniture.
So he's a
I'm all
furniture store.
zen now, like I'm Buddha. There's still really funny stuff between Mike Barnes and Chosen and Daniel, and again, Chosen steals the show. But there's not as much of Mike Barnes as I would like. Like, I get why they sort of get rid of him for a little while with, like, his place burning down and just getting out of town because he thinks maybe somebody's after him, and then coming back for the finale. But I feel like they could have given him a little bit more.
Yeah, he was only in 2 episodes, and we thought they could have done a little bit more, which, who knows, that could have been a scheduling issue with the actor.
Maybe he has other things going on,
Yeah.
but I know that before this season came out, he had come out and said, like, I'm ready to go, it'd be cool to be in the show, so hopefully going forward they use him more, I think, if there's a thing, although he doesn't really have a reason to come back.
Not really, because he was tied in with Terry Silver.
Although, Terry Silver's still a rich dude, so he might just get away with everything.
That's true. We'll get to that at the end. So, in other things going on, Carmen might be pregnant, and I called it immediately. Miguel had made breakfast for them when he came back from Mexico, and it wasn't very good.
Ugh.
And she threw up, and she said, "Oh, I've been feeling funny lately." And I'm like, she's pregnant. They're jumping the shark. They're bringing a baby into it.
I don't like that he... Okay, I didn't like it at first. I was like, okay, it's cool as a plot device to have them deal with that thing, but still, it should just be like, turns out she's not pregnant. But they didn't do that. She's pregnant.
She is pregnant.
I'm not that interested in Johnny having a kid in his, like, really late 50s, and then next season's gonna be like, isn't he funny because he's a weird dad or whatever. But it was a good plot device to get Robbie and Miguel to sort of stay locked in on being neutral with each other.
Yeah, and by the end, they're pretty friendly with each other. They're even eating together at Miguel's apartment, and so they fight it out the way John... And that's how Johnny spills the beans, as they're fighting, and he said, "What are you guys going to do when the baby comes?" And they're both like, "What?"
It's very, like, 90s movie moment, but...
Yeah, but it's nice that Johnny has some stability, and I hate that they're using a baby as a plot point, but it's nice that... And I always liked that his relationship with Carmen is just nice. There's no drama. Like, when he went on... He didn't even really go on a date, but when he went out with Allie...
Like,
it wasn't a big... She didn't, have a big scream-down fight with him or anything.
It wasn't like there was never drama, but it was always, I guess, things that couldn't be avoided. It wasn't like they came up with stuff just to get in the way.
No, they have a pretty good relationship, and it's not the up and down stuff you see in TV all the time. And it's not... Like, that's a nice breath of fresh air, because the stuff with Daniel is absolutely losing his shit in this season.
Think about it. Johnny has the best emotional moments the entire season. Like,
he really does.
Not like acting strong, although there is a couple, but like, he's the most stable. He comes up with the most solutions. He's like, even the ones that are a little bit like, most people would say these are bad solutions, but they work, because in the real world, sometimes you do need to punch each other in the face. Like, not for no reason, obviously, unless you're, like, practicing. But, like, emotionally, some people just need to get it out. Mm-hmm. And he made them get it out. It worked. Daniel is a piece of shit. That's where I'm going from there.
Go on. Give a few examples.
Johnny has all the emotionally correct moments. Daniel is a fucking asshole the entire season, thinks he's right about every single moment, no matter how far he pushes his wife, even when she's telling him to, like, let this shit go, or I'm leaving, and he's just like, see, Terry did this from the beginning. She's like, no, she's reacting the way you're acting right now. That's what she's reacting to. You and your decisions. And you're a bad teacher, and a bad dad, and a bad husband, and a shitty person, and it always has to be Daniel's fucking way. And then the show writers write it in that somebody else has to go and tell his wife, hey, he's actually right, so go tell him he's right, and he's not fucking right. He's a piece of shit.
Again, something that drama happens, and then it's resolved very quickly. She actually does leave him for a while, and takes her kids and goes to Ohio after a charity event where it happens to be at Terry Silver's house, and Daniel loses his shit, knocks Terry over, and knocks over some little bonsai trees that he had put up for auction. So, meanwhile, just funny stuff with Johnny. He's doing Uber, which you get some laughs out of that. And then the kids, we don't see a lot as much of the drama with the kids fighting each other, like Cobra Kai versus Miyagi-Do and all that.
I guess that's a good thing, because, I mean, you can get burned out on just doing a lot of that. So.
Which was nice. Like, this season was over the top in some ways, but it had some good breathers. Like, the stuff with Johnny and Daniel, they don't even really talk to each other until the 5th episode, and they're cool with each other.
Yeah.
And there is some fighting with the kids. Like, they get into it at a water park, and then there is a big knockdown, drag-out fight at the end, which, of course, they have to. They always have to have a big fight.
Finale fight.
At the finale, which is fun.
I feel like... I wonder if there was a new writer involved, and whoever he or she is, if there is such a one, stop it. Okay. The problem with this season, even though it's fun, it's still not the worst, is that instead of just going like this, like a journey and like taking some turns, they think that they have to build and build and build, and like the tournament thing they come up with, like, oh, the biggest tournament in the world that's only invitation to, I guess, this group of 9 people that come and tell you if your karate school sucks. Like, it's getting bigger, but it's also stupid. Like, it doesn't seem real anymore.
And it seems like that storyline just kind of goes away at the end because all the kids are like, we just all want to be friends.
It might still be a thing. Okay, season 6 might be Miyagi Fang is still invited.
Mai Tai Saikai.
I'm going with Miyagi Fang. It sounds like an anime like gang. Like, it sounds like Shiei Saikai from My Hero Academia. So they could still go, and then Kreese could still come back, and then he'll probably get picked up, but then somehow they'll be like, well, we just found out that the testimony against you was fake, so
let's talk about...
You broke out of prison, which is a felony, and assaulted people to do it, but you were also falsely imprisoned? So in TV world, I could see them just getting around that. Not in the real world, but in TV world, I'm sure they could, like, write that.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, too. Like,
and then Kreese could come back and be like, I was the real face of Cobra Kai. The only reason this shit happened is because I wasn't here. I let that dude in. That's his fault.
So finally, in episode 5, shit picks up. Things come back. We see Kreese for the first time in prison, talking to Tori, trying to get her to get information on Terry Silver over to Daniel. So she's kind of acting as a double agent. And then, meanwhile, we see Stingray. So Terry Silver we never really see him train. He comes into the Cobra Kai dojo, which is what he wanted all in the first place. But then we never see him train. We do see him kick some ass at the end.
That was kind of fun.
That was good. But he keeps him in, like, he's bought him, basically. He's given him an apartment, so he's staying silent on being beaten up.
But he's still secretly nice, so he feels awful, and he's just, like, awkward and sad.
Imprisoned an innocent man.
He's so sad.
Yeah, and we also meet another villain. I don't even know her name, but she is a Korean woman. Terry brings in all these...
Why did he have to bring her in, though? We didn't even talk about, like, our favorite part of the first 2 episodes.
Oh, yeah, so there was this one part I have to talk about, though. Terry has a fight with Daniel, and he has him by the arm, and he bends him over and kind of pushes on his elbow, and we're like, he's doing the green belt one step. He's doing the green belt one step. He's doing the green belt one step! And he steps back and snap kicks him in the face. That is a green belt one step. I actually did it with my teacher.
I think that's one that we forgot to practice whenever we were in Kerrville.
I was practicing that with Adrian the other day.
That's one that we forgot
instructor.
About.
I might have done that. There's also a version where you do a jump snap kick, but this one was the green belt version.
Which is one of the other ones we forgot. Huh.
Well, we just did a few. So
we forgot.
We were at our vacation home practicing Taekwondo, and we happened to forget some of the one steps. I think,
and it just happened to be this one. Now that I think about it.
Well, I did it in class. Anyway, so we were very excited about Terry Silver doing some Taekwondo, and we see more and more of the Korean influence in Taekwondo coming throughout the latter half of the season. So he brings in kind of the main villain, and I don't even remember this bitch's name, but she's from Korea. She comes from a dojang, which is the Korean word for a martial arts school. And her father, was it her father or her grandfather?
Sensei. I think father, but
yes.
I can't tell by her age. I have no idea.
So they talk about this legacy of all these secret techniques and everything, which is basically just Tang Soo Do, which is Korean karate.
Which everything they do sure does look a lot like Taekwondo one-steps. So
yes, and
Taekwondo forms, and
yes, they actually did. The students were doing part of a modern-day black belt Taekwondo form called Choreo in one of the episodes. So, and I made a comment on Facebook about this, and I'll give a shout out to the Whistle Kick guys, Jeremy Lesniak and Andrew Adams, because they gave some insight on it. And Jeremy said that Tang Soo Do and Taekwondo are very closely linked, and they borrow from each other, and Tang Soo Do even uses some Taekwondo forms. So that could very well have been, they may very well do choreo. I don't know, so if you know,
look like it.
If you know, let us know. And then another person, Andrew, commented that, well, when Kreese and Terry Silver did train with this Korean master in the 80s, well, when he came back, he probably marketed it as karate, which a lot of schools still do. It's a Taekwondo school, but they'll call it American Karate Taekwondo or something. Because everybody knows karate.
Tang Soo Do is literally the translation of the word karate, so it makes more sense for Tang Soo Do to do it.
Yeah.
Because it is just Shotokan karate. It's not just Shotokan karate. I'm sure there's some changes, but it's Shotokan karate.
Yeah, so we've seen this influence throughout the series, but not as much as season 5, because I know in one part in season 2 he said chumbi, which is ready stance, and I'm sitting there screaming with my leg in a brace because I just had knee surgery, and I'm so excited he did chumbi. But we hear terms for bow and attention, ready stance, begin, a lot of Korean words that we learned practicing Taekwondo.
Yeah.
Shijak, all that stuff. So this woman, anyway, she wants to come and share this secret technique with students all over the world and take over, which, like, bitch, we already know.
Like,
we already know all these techniques.
That, and, like, okay, I said this to Melanie while we were watching, like, Lethway is a thing, which is a martial art where people headbutt each other, and then if they knock the other person out, they have 2 minutes to wake up and then still fight again.
That sounds a lot more hardcore than, I might grab you by the throat and kick you. Ooh.
They don't really... Okay, I know that someone thought that they had to keep writing like this, and this is an annoyance for me with martial arts stuff. Whenever it's in books, it's in shows that are like medieval fantasy based with like sword fighting and shit, they'll be like, oh, he fights dirty, or that he doesn't fight with chivalry. Nobody did. All the dirty moves are just how you fight.
It's just survival.
Like, it's just the way that you're supposed to fight. So when there's a character like the Hound in Game of Thrones, like, oh, he's so savage and he fights like this and that. You're supposed to fight like that. You're trying to stab people with a long pointy piece of metal. It's not nice. There's no such thing as chivalry when you're trying to kill somebody.
What are you saying?
It's fucking stupid. I hate the whole, like, oh, they fight so dirty. Do they kick people in the balls? Because you guys are having street fights and shit.
Actually, Chosen kicked somebody in the balls.
Good. Who cares?
And so, a couple of highlights that I wrote down. There was Chosen teaches a class at one point, which was fun. And he hunts them. Cartoony, but it comes back at the end. What they do in this show, they do well, is that they'll plant, most of the time, I mentioned the Chekhov's gun earlier, they'll plant some Easter eggs or some Chekhov's guns, and they'll bring them back later, like what the kids learn with Chosen's classes, that they have to stick together and work as a team, and that comes back together at the very end.
You only see it like one of his classes. Okay.
I would have liked to have seen more of his teaching
Here's the annoying
technique.
thing.
But we're martial arts nerds, so does everybody else want to see, like, I want to see a full Terry Silver class.
Well, yeah,
they're never going to do
get a full class. But here's the annoying thing about shows like this, and animes do it too, but probably not as bad, actually. Teaching people martial arts stuff isn't like, I'm going to teach you this weird philosophical thing like Jedi training through mind tricks. Like, Chosen gives them all an egg, and I get the exercise, it makes sense. What he taught him was on purpose, I get that, but it's like, he gives them an egg, and he's like, protect the egg. And he tells them that they're like these birds that snakes eat, and they're weak. The snake's gonna kill them. So he picks them off one by one, and then they learn to, like, group together. Blah, blah, blah. A real martial arts class is running drills, doing exercises, partner work, like, things like that. Do your forms, do your one-steps, do your runs around the class, do your kicks on the pad, switch to the other station, do the other set of kicks on the pad or punches or whatever. They never show a class that looks like that. It's all mystical bullshit.
You know where they do that, though?
At Terry Silver's school.
At Terry Silver's school.
Because he's the best instructor.
He is the
Terry
best instructor.
Silver is the best instructor of the entire show, bar none. I don't care what you have to say.
Is it because he's a Taekwondo guy, or just because what he does makes sense?
One, Terry Silver, the guy who plays him, is actually a Taekwondo black belt, and I'm sure that was a long time ago, but he can still move really well. So
he does move really well.
He's still a character, so it's not just the guy playing it. Although maybe he has some insight and he gets to say some things like, what if we do this? Blah, blah, blah. But every time Terry is training people, he actually gives them useful information. It's not always like dirty fighting.
No, and it's not always cryptic like Kreese, like you have to surround your enemy and torture them until they die and like, stuff like that.
In the fourth season, when Kreese is freaking out that he's teaching them to, like, learn what their own fear is and guard it, and learn what the other person's fear is and use it, like, it's pretty good shit. Like, that's not... He's he's such a good instructor. And he beats the shit out of everybody in this show. Except for the last... I hate the last episode.
Talk about why you hate the last episode.
15... No, not the last episode. Not the whole thing. 15 minutes ago, I was going to mention the best Chosen moment was, the end of the first episode, he infiltrates, and we're like, oh, shit, fuck you!
But then they don't go anywhere with that, either.
Well, because he gets found out, which I thought was fine. I just didn't like the way he got found out.
Yeah, that's a thing. Okay, this season has a lot of kind of breath of fresh air, like Johnny having a stable relationship. Robbie and Miguel are getting along. Johnny's getting along with Robbie. We don't see as much of Kreese, although he comes in later and we see his storyline in prison. So we kind of get breaks and we get to see other things. But then they also will introduce some interesting ideas, like Chosen in infiltrating Terry's army of teachers, but then that's resolved. He finds out too quickly too. So they'll take these interesting storylines and drop them. And I get it, you only have 10 episodes.
Yeah, but maybe they come up with all these ideas they want to do, and then instead of picking, they just shorten
and they do
each
all
one
of them.
and all of it, which I wasn't too disappointed with. He got found out pretty quick, and it got turned over on him pretty quick. Because Chosen's still badass the entire time and has the best lines. The line in the sand has been made, and if you cross it, you will beg for mercy. Shit like that. And then walk out. Awesome fucking lines. But yeah, I say he's a badass, but honestly, the choreography around some of the people's fights was not great.
It's
Chosen,
never
it's slow.
been great, though.
Which, I mean,
they're all old men.
I know, but pay them extra and give them a personal yoga instructor to make sure they're nice and limber again, and then edit it correctly. There's a lot of cutting away from stuff when I don't like it, and then sometimes it's very obvious that the cue is out of time. Someone's arm is still out, and then he puts his hand up to block it. No. If you're gonna it's bad enough that that's not very realistic. You need to make sure the timing's on that so the person watching doesn't question it.
Yeah, and that's always been my dilemma with all 5 seasons of Cobra Kai, is that the fighting doesn't look very good, but then I also think most of these people haven't had years and years and years of training. They're not professional athletes. They're not top competitive fighters.
Some of the fights look pretty good.
Yeah, some of the fights look pretty good. So I like that they don't go over the top with the choreography. But I also okay, the girl that plays Sam and the girl that plays Tori, neither one of them look very good. And they never really do much to kind of fix that.
It's not their fault.
It's not their fault.
I wish that the studio would be look, we're gonna make sure we get the best dude. Give him a fucking, not even karate. Give him a wushu guy that does all that weird, really flexible shit, so their bodies feel comfortable doing certain types of things, and then it makes it easier. The sidekicks. The back kicks that Chosen corrects, because Tori's back kicks are not good. Toes are up in the air and shit, and
has her hip out too much. And I say this, I'm coming back from an injury, and my back kicks are better. So
again, not the actor's fault. I just wish they had better training for the seasons.
I know,
because
but
they're the 2 main girls, and I wish the girls could look as good as the guys.
Yeah, and they make a big deal about, Nichols is the most deadly fighter and Sam's the best fighter. I'm like, are they, or is it just because they're the only girls?
Yeah. Oof. Anyway, so I'm gonna say why I'm mad at the ending of the last episode.
Let's go ahead. I'm not gonna do a play-by-play of the entire season, but it does get resolved. There's a big knockdown, drag-out fight at the end. There's a pretty kind of scary fight at Terry Silver's house, which they had an opportunity. This is another thing they dropped. This is spoilers, so I'm gonna say what happened. Chosen gets slashed pretty hard with a katana by Terry Silver, and I'm like, you could kill this character and really get me emotionally. They don't. He's fine.
Yeah, he's... In fact...
And he could go to prison for murder.
Not just, he's fine. They drive him to the school instead of straight to the hospital. And then he gets in an ambulance. They didn't know there was going to be ambulances there.
No, they just take him to the hospital.
He got his back slashed open, and he passed out. He was also drunk. But... you know.
Well, you bleed faster when you're drunk too. So
and he was in a puddle of dirty water. Probably
that was a pretty good fight.
It could have, it could have been. Like, I don't want to lose Chosen, but at least take it more serious. Like, leave that. Like, don't answer that.
Yeah.
Until next season,
and
if there's
also,
another season.
At the beginning of the last episode, I really did like the opening. They were playing My Way by Frank Sinatra. It was a different cut. It was a different singer. And Kreese gets stabbed in prison. And I thought, and it was really kind of beautiful the way it was shot and everything with the song and all that stuff. And I thought, this would be kind of a good way to write off this character.
Yeah, it was kind of like Walter White.
Yeah, like where he kind of dies at the end. You think, this is what your life has become. And I thought that would be kind of an awesome and very sad way to write off that character. It was all a fake out.
It's very Terminator.
He faked it. He had his boys in prison help him out. And I knew because they'd done a close-up on the psychiatrist's badge before. I knew he was going to get hold of it.
Yeah.
So he kind of, he acts like he's having breakthroughs with this counselor. And maybe he does. I think he kind of does.
Because he does. I do like that he treats Tori better.
Yeah,
like
he does.
He's like stops trying to use her to do anything. He's like, you go do whatever you need to do for you. And she gets pissy about it. But at least.
And he has these moments with Johnny, and Johnny is, whenever he's around
he's
him,
a child.
He looks like a scared teenager. He's very hurt. He's very angry. And he's like, fuck you, I hate you. You ruined my childhood or whatever. And Kreese is hurt by that.
You don't gotta forgive your abusers, so.
No, you don't.
Fuck them.
So if a toxic person is in your life, you can cut him off, and Johnny has every right to do that. And I'm not really saying, and I'm not really sympathizing with Kreese, but it is nice to show that he felt some remorse about that.
Yeah.
He talks about how he lost his best student, and he was like a son to him. I'm like, well, you treated him like shit, so you kind of got what you deserved.
Also, the end of that scene was the shit.
Where he breaks out of... So Kreese has broken out of prison.
No. I'm talking about where they're talking in the prison. Yeah. And that he
Johnny?
finally gives them the paper that's supposed to have the lawyer's number. It just said...
No mercy, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Because Daniel had promised, I'll get you a lawyer to help you if you tell us what Terry Silver's up to. And he does, which is really just... He wants to take over the world with karate schools, which is really stupid.
It's not that hyperbolic, but it's not far.
It's not far.
So there fuck. I lost my train of thought because I had like two thoughts. Okay, so that scene was cool. Going back to the end, like for the third time. I hate Daniel a lot. So obviously I hate that Daniel beats up Silver. Like just by himself. He hasn't done anything different to be... Like, Terry was in a fight with Chosen already, so he's probably wiped out, because, he's like 70. And so, he has a reason to be weaker, but other than that, Daniel doesn't do anything different. And he does the fucking crane kick. Although,
yes,
I will caveat with it that at the very least, his crane kick he did right when Terry wasn't even looking at him.
Yeah.
So, okay, fine. Make your stupid fucking kick at the last second on a guy that's not looking at you. And that's fine. Kick people when they're not looking at you.
And Terry was on the ground when...
he was like trying to pick this thing up to hit him.
Yeah. So I thought that was dumb, but whatever. That's the iconic thing from...
Stingray's fight was more interesting.
So Stingray came... All the kids are going to the school because they want to show footage of Terry Silver beating up Stingray, which... They end up not being able to get it, and they find something. They find the footage of him telling Tori that he paid off the referee. More of a
moral victory.
Yeah, so it's... But at the end, it's like... He just shows that he's a big bully.
Yeah.
And nobody... And so none of the kids want to follow him. He still gets arrested, so I'm like, okay, did they arrest him for something else, or are they getting him... Did Stingray finally tell the police
you guys
that he beat him up?
Cool with actively having a gang war and being violent to each other... But don't pay off a ref.
Oh, yeah, that's the thing that we're going to turn our back on him for.
We're totally fine with cheating as far as not paying off a ref. Like, that did seem a little weird. I get that. I think that they really left because he got beat up. I think it was more of that.
Like when you see your hero take it down.
I think it's more of that than anything else. But, again, I still hate that Daniel beat him up. The fight at Terry's house was pretty cool, although...
Yeah, I was really worried for Johnny for a moment.
They were doing really good. They knocked out Mike way too early. They could have left him awake a little longer, and then had him knocked out, and then swoop in like he did.
Yeah, Mike Barnes comes back because he's filled with hate and revenge, and he wants to get Terry Silver, but then he gets knocked out immediately at the house.
He does some cool shit with this one dude, because he kind of doesn't even fight like he's doing karate. Like, he obviously knows karate, but it looks like he's just picking people up and smashing them and just punching them when they're not looking.
He's just beating the shit out of
people.
people, yeah.
It's very not eloquent, and I like it. And then, okay, I'm cool with Johnny sort of having his... This is a very anime moment. It's like a Dragon Ball Z thing. Like, he sees his sonogram picture of his unborn child. He's surrounded by 4 dudes. He's basically gonna get murdered.
They already have a sword out. They're gonna kill him.
They had, like... He was bleeding from the ears. Like, he had severe concussions. And then he sort of, like, you know... brings himself back up Rocky style and beats the shit out of him. Which, it was cool, but also... like, 4-on-1's a little much after that much abuse.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, second adrenaline dump. But, okay, he doesn't fully win, so that's cool. He does get the upper hand for a second, and then when he loses it again, then Mike comes in.
Yeah.
And his victory is very quick. Just sucker punch a dude, flying tackle throw.
Yeah, so a thing about this season, which was interesting, is that the big fights were like street fights. There really was only one scene that was kind of tournament-style fighting, and this is almost a B story, is that the schools want to... There's an invitation-only, Sai Tai, Mai Tai, whatever, big karate tournament with a bunch of Japanese guys and, like, Goldfinger. It's like, no, Mr. Silva, I expect you to die. Auf Wiedersehen. So they come over and they want to invite Terry's school, and Daniel and crew happen to be there. I'm like, we have a school too. So they have some little fights to see who gets to go to the tournament, but then by the end, nobody cares.
Yeah.
And if Terry's been arrested, I think, are they even going to do anything with that in season 6? And I kind of liked it because I personally hate tournaments because they're long. It's a bunch of hurry up and wait. If you competed in a tournament or if you coached at a tournament, you know.
But for some people, a lot of people, me included, favorite part of the anime is the tournament arc. And we've had 2 tournaments, but they were only like, you know, with the last episode or maybe the last 2 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
The tournament arc, which, you know, it's like a whole season. So that could be fun. I still don't like the whole exclusionary, like, weird, eyes wide shut type setup of the judges that come in and be like, yes, you're good enough to come and fight, you teenagers. And, like, it's not like it's... Also, okay, tangent. I hate that in Cobra Kai they train all year for one tournament, and it's the All Valley. What about California State?
Or Nationals.
Like...
Or
those
world.
are things, like, those exist in the real world. It doesn't all have to be Cobra Kai merchandise to fucking All Valley, whatever.
Or that they talk about being the All Valley Championship. None of that matters unless you're state champion, if you're state, national, or world champion.
And even then, it only matters at all if you go on to do something bigger. Like, the only ones that make money over in Singapore and Japan, or the UFC here, or Bellator, or just use it as a scholarship to go to college. Those are the only times that shit matters. Ever. But, okay.
Yeah, so...
We're gonna go on forever if we keep doing this, though.
Yeah.
Something we haven't mentioned. Cobra Kai is Star Wars.
There are some Palpatine moments, and Sam had her Luke Skywalker in the cave at Dagobah moment.
Yeah.
Where she was in a self-deprivation pod, and she imagines fighting this bitch, and ooh, it's her. And I'm like, it's just Luke Skywalker, and he cuts the head off, and there's his face.
Melanie brought it up before it happened. She's like, is this gonna be like her dark cave moment, like Luke Skywalker, and then
yeah,
it's her, and it's like, oh god, okay, like, I'm okay with it, sorta.
Okay, talk about how it's Star Wars.
I don't like Tori, but not Tori. I like Tori. I don't like Sam. But you know, whatever. Also, Sam is her father's daughter. They are both so self-absorbed
She
pieces
makes-
of shit. It's always about them, and people they've committed crimes against them. And
Miguel is in Mexico. He's already gotten robbed. He's searching for his father, who is a dangerous man. And he's
Daniel-
on the phone with Sam, and she's mad at him because he didn't ask her how she did at the tournament.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Bitch, Daniel broke into Stingray's home, like just waltzed on in, and then when he came back and just waltzed in again, he was surprised that Terry Silver was there to beat the shit out of him, which he deserved, and it was awesome.
Who else barged their way into Stingray's apartment?
Sam.
Yep.
I hate the LaRussos. I've seen people talk
Except
about
Mrs. LaRusso.
she's awesome. She's
Great
awesome.
clothes. Great
She's
clothes.
funny. She's pretty hot.
Her clothes are amazing.
She's way too hot for Daniel.
Yeah.
I've seen people talk about how they appreciate what kind of instructor Daniel is. He's awful. He would be a terrible person to be your sensei or whatever, or Sabanim. He's Johnny's better.
They're all using Korean terms. We might as well call him Sabanim.
Yeah, we're gonna go on forever. There's one thing that kind of bothers me. That these are all anime weirdnesses, like not exactly, but like sort of. There's the over the top and Star Warsy, because there's the over the top sensei villain who's definitely trying to get a role in like Mortal Kombat as Queen Sindel or something.
The Korean lady. Yeah.
She wants to be like Katana's mom. They're way over the top, like Star Wars villains or anime villains, and there's this thing that doesn't make sense. One, Chosen can figure out who Terry Silver's master was just by watching him a little bit. Mm-hmm. Like one class, and he wasn't even doing anything particularly special. He was just sparring with students, and he did some stuff that kind of looks like Taekwondo, because, you know, it is.
It is.
And he's like, his Kim Sung Young Vung fuck whatever is his grandmaster, and he was a teacher of Tong Sudo, but not even Tong Sudo is like this. This is dirty, and he's whatever. So, okay, fine. That's dumb. That's like martial arts mysticism that's in TV shows in general, which I wish they'd stop doing, because there are martial artists behind some of the choreography and the writing of some of these things, and I wish they would stop being unrealistic. Sometimes it's fun. Sometimes it gets annoying because it's overdone. But on top of that, that means that Terry and John Kreese both trained with this dude. Mm-hmm. John Kreese went back to America and taught his students. Johnny knows all the same things that these people do, and they never talk about it. They pretend like Johnny's karate is different from Terry Silver's karate. It's the exact same, and like the whole thing in the fourth season was Robbie trained with Miyagi-Do and he trained with Cobra Kai, so he knew how both people like to fight, so he's gonna combine them, and he's like the new ultimate badass. But then, and also Hawk. But in this season, they just forget that they could totally do that again with Johnny.
Yeah.
Johnny can teach them even more about, like, here's some of the stuff that we did to, like, the advanced classes or something. Because that's actually kind of a thing where the more advanced students get their own classes where you do things that you don't do anywhere else. They could reuse that idea, and it would not be a terrible idea, although the whole, we're combining styles of the same martial art. It's not new.
So are you saying it's a mixed martial art?
No, because we're past this shit. Mixing martial arts has been a thing for years. Super rambly, but that just really bugs me that they never address the fact that Johnny knows this stuff.
Yeah, they don't address that in the way, like in season 4, to a lesser extent. They made a big deal about, oh my god, we're gonna have girls divisions. Oh my god, we're gonna have weapons and kata, and like people have been doing that for like years. So
like not years, decades.
Yeah.
Decades. Hanadang.
So Hanadang, yeah, we brought that. A Hanadang is a Korean term for like all the shit you do at a tournament, board breaking weapons, all that stuff. So things I liked about this season is that it didn't have a tournament. I was kind of tired of the tournament arc. I liked Johnny's just nice and calm story. I like that his relationships were resolved. Love Terry Silver. Kreese's storyline was interesting in it. I like that they put people as over the top and as anime-esque and as kind of insufferable as the season was. I like that they put familiar characters in different situations. Kreese was in a different situation. He was in prison. Johnny's becoming a family man. Daniel's kind of losing his shit and becoming a drunk, and his wife leaves him. And
he's an asshole.
He's an asshole. He has all these problems, and Terry Silver's just being more Terry Silver, which we love. So that's what I think. I think this season is growing on me as I talk about it. So I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun to watch. Hated the Korean woman. I didn't think they even needed her. She wasn't even she wasn't a well-written villain.
She was insufferable.
Not even well written.
Because she's so over the top. She's no fun. Like, Terry's over the top, and he gets people to, like, do shit they should not do. But he's fun. Oh, his music is always awesome. Like, they didn't use the original Terry Silver theme, which was amazing. Amazing villain theme from the original movie. But he did get some really, like, Star Wars-y, like, choir music whenever he was beating the shit out of Daniel.
Yeah, like Sith Lord stuff.
Best scene of the whole show.
So he's a fun Sith Lord. The Korean woman was just a boring, grumpy Sith Lord. She was no
bitches
fun.
At everybody and tells them, like, you're not strong enough. Where's this gonna go? Where's this gonna take you in life?
You
expect all these people that get into karate to just do karate for the rest of their fucking lives? And then you want to
step back and go, you know what, everybody, myself included, you're all a bunch of fucking weebs.
Yeah.
You're a bunch of nerds who do martial arts. You're all a bunch of nerds. I'm done. I said my piece. I'm done.
If you cared about self-defense, you'd just get a weapon. Kind of true.
I know.
It's
every
fun.
time I make a comment about Taekwondo and martial arts, somebody I know, because I live in Texas, like, well, this was my self-defense, and they show a picture of their gun.
That's cool. I just like doing jumpy flippy shit sometimes. Not actual flippy shit, just spinny kicks.
What did you like about this season?
I liked it. I just think they went over the top with how they portray Cobra Kai, like, being a thing. Like, Daniel, if he would talk himself through the actual situation, would probably realize he's insane. Like, he's scared of the boogeyman, insane.
It's like his insecurity and his ego are both so big, he can't control it.
What's going to happen? Terry is going to get more Cobra Kai schools. If Terry does that, kids are just going to have a new thing that gives them a sense of community and builds up their confidence, like any sport or activity will do.
Mm-hmm.
And if he gets too deep into the Korean woman's insane, like, abuse, there will be a lawsuit. There will be parents finding out this guy's abusing my kids and making them do things that should be illegal, and we're all suing the shit out of him and exposing these schools until they shut down.
Yeah, I mean,
that's what real world is. Like, some people get away with it for a long time doing stupid things, but if you're gonna conglomerize and you're gonna be, I think this is what he was trying to do. He's trying to be the McDonald's of martial arts.
But not a McDojo.
Not a McDojo.
That's different.
Because a McDojo is a place you don't want to be caught at. McDonald's is like, everyone knows it's trash, but everybody goes. And you're getting what you pay for. It's fine. It tastes good. It's probably not good for you, but it's fun while you're there.
I like McDonald's.
He wants to be the McDonald's of karate. Carinado. I don't know. Anyway, so that's worst case scenario. He opens up enough schools that someone finds out that they're abusing kids, if they are abusing kids, and they get fucking flipped over.
Yeah.
If it was one school, I would say, yeah, he could probably keep some just under the level of totally illegal shit under wraps. But once you're going, like, I'm going through the whole valley, I'm going through the whole state, I'm going international. Also, I think Terry's dying because he keeps talking about legacy. So
his legacy, how he never had children, how he wants to move on, and we thought he was going to reveal that he has cancer. So if they do a season 6, I mean, and it's kind of like the choreography, like, oh, it's bad, but maybe it should be bad. It's over the top, but then also, where else can you go? So where do you think they can go from here?
I don't know, because Kreese is sort of... No, he broke out of prison, but he was sort of making breakthroughs. Like, he was talking with his inner people that are... fucked him up. So if he comes back and he takes over and he starts... It might be more of, like, what Daniel does by freaking out and reacting again. Because Daniel cannot let it go. Honestly, at the end, it should have been everyone just decides to let it go. Like, everybody. Because when Miguel and Robbie decide to let it go, they become friends. They're cool. It's all under the bridge. When Tori and Sam eventually let it go, like, they're not cool, but you know
they're gonna
work
all
it
the time.
out.
Yeah.
When Tori and the other chick that Devin, at least for a little while, not forever, because by the end, but for a little while, water under the bridge, she beat her up, whatever, she wants to get better, they're friends, sorta. They start to notice that they have similar things in common. So, if Daniel would just learn to let it go, which is a direction the show was starting to go in, which was actually the mature, correct thing to do, that could have been the end. But it's not. So I don't know where they could really go. I'm still going to watch the next season. I am too. I love a lot of these people. I hope they don't do too much of Johnny being like, oh, it's funny because he's like a weird dad, like they did with... Ooh, Johnny's an Uber driver now. Like, okay, good thing was it was like 5 minutes of an episode.
Yeah, it wasn't the whole thing.
Okay, fine. And they did sort of tie it in to give him like a little life lesson from the pawn shop guy, which weird life lesson to come from the pawn shop guy, but that was cool. I like that.
Yeah, so we may see Johnny is... He wants to be there for this child in the way that he wasn't when... his girlfriend was pregnant with Robbie, and so we see maybe his relationship with Robbie will mend as he becomes a father for the second time. So maybe we'll see that. I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna watch it, but this would have worked as a series finale.
Yeah, they just needed to tweak it a little bit, and if they were gonna take down the big head honcho, okay. And Mike Barnes comes into it, has his moment. All right. They left it too loose-ended, like they want there to be another season, but they also closed it kind of like Legend of Korra. Like, the first season was sort of its own thing, but then they could continue because they didn't get cleared for another season, so they had to do it that way. And it was fine, but you knew it wasn't as good as it could be because of that.
Right.
And this is the same way. It could be really great. I wish they would have just done 12 episodes, added a little bit more, tweaked some of the stuff, get rid of the international tournament thing, or maybe leave it in as like a thing to work towards, but then don't go all in on it, like the weirdness of... these guys coming in and it's like a secret organization, like the secret kumite or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, a lot of ramblies. I wonder who everyone's favorite character is.
Johnny.
Comment your favorite character of
Always
this
Johnny.
season, this series, and how you felt about it.
My favorite character for the season was Chosen. My favorite character of all time is Johnny.
Chosen was so awesome. I can't explain that enough. He was funny. He was badass. He was pretty calm and collected most of the time, except when he got drunk and he was like, yeah, let's go break into Terry Silver's home. He'll never see it coming. That was cool. Terry Silver, also awesome all the time, always. I wish he had been a bigger actor, like in general, because he was the best thing about the third movie. He's one of the best things as far as a villain in this.
Oh, speaking of the third movie, they brought back the chick from the third movie. She's Amanda's cousin.
Yeah.
That was a little throwaway thing.
Nice
that was kind of cool.
Easter egg.
Yeah.
And okay, I get them using her as a way to explain to Amanda how serious it was.
Yeah.
But I still don't think the answer was, well, he was right.
Yeah.
No, he's still wrong.
So.
But maybe you can now be more understanding of why he's a psycho.
So they went big in a lot of ways. They resolved some things too quickly. They resolved some things maybe not in the best way. So it leaves it open for another season. I'm very curious to see, are they going to go big or are they going to pull it back a little bit and maybe focus on some character development?
Yeah, because at this point, it'll be like a lot of these characters are supposed to be finishing up high school, and it's time to go out and just be a normal human. So if it's the Hasaikai whatever tournament thing, okay. I don't know how I feel about that. Like, I'm cool with like a tournament arc thing, whatever, but at this point, there's only so much more drama you can create out of people hating each other and then deciding to beat each other up even though they're being the same person. So
yeah, so if you want to join our dojang, and I say dojang because it's Korean, like everything in this is secretly Korean. If you want to join our dojang, you can do that in a couple of ways. You can watch us on Twitch, Discord, YouTube. You can listen on Anchor, Spotify, and iTunes, and this is always the part where AJ yawns. And you can see our pictures and interact with us on our Instagram, Movie Pain or Pleasure Podcast. So, Sab and Nem, do you have anything to add at the end?
sorry I rambled so much.
No, it's okay.
It's such a long.
It's okay.
I
We
meant
have
for
a
this to
lot
be
to
a quick
say
episode,
about this.
and it was like, there's so many things. So many things.
So join our cult and be my victim.
Yeah.
감사합니다.